thanks for joining us tonight for Studio U. This is February 2015, and our subject is We Heart, or We Love Studio. We thought it would be fun this month to share some of our favorite tips and tricks that we personally use in studio, or the things that we just feel like we couldn't live without. So I'm here tonight with you, Cynthia Coulon, the product manager for Heritage Makers, and we've got our studio design specialist, Roxanne Buchholz, on the line, and she's the one that puts these amazing classes together every month. And then, of course, we have Brooke Mayer, who is our studio product specialist, and she's here, and she's going to share a little bit with us tonight, as well as answer your questions that you type into the question box. So feel free to shoot those questions through, and Brooke will do her best to answer, and we may even get to ask and answer some of those live on the class tonight. So before we get started, Roxanne, I'm going to go ahead and give away 25 publishing points, and I've grabbed the name of Susan Gray. So Susan Gray, you're the winner of our first set of 25 publishing points. Thank you for joining us, and congratulations. Brooke will get those into your Heritage Makers account in the next couple of days. So thanks, and why don't we let Roxanne take it away?
Well, wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here with you guys tonight. Before we get started, I just wanted to mention that our February sale is going on right now. So we've got our label products on sale. Those include large labels and the little return address labels. It's a great time to stock up on some of those great projects now for an extra 10% off when you publish them. All right, so we're going to start off with some template gallery inspiration tonight. And I'm going to show you some new studio templates, as well as some of the new art that just came out that we just absolutely love. All right, first of all, we've got some new birthday templates and art, starting with these two adorable collections that are all kind of birthday themed, but they have a lot of other little pieces that would be great for any other project. There's flowers and cute little word bubble things, and other things, your special day, and definitely different ages and stuff, which would be great on other childhood storybooks as well. I just love all these little projects that are going on. There's a great scrap page here from Brooke. You can see all the template ID numbers up here, so you can follow along. There's some great kind of generic, almost birthday cards. There's a wonderful happy day one here from Cynthia, and then another cute one here from Brooke. She's also done a matching label here, which is on our large address label, which is on sale this month. And basically all you do with these these large address labels is you would wrap a gift for your child to take to a birthday party, and these are fun labels that you can adhere right to the package, so it acts as a gift tag. So happy birthday from Aiden here. So great ideas here. And I wanted to point out too that I love this time of year. It's kind of this February. It's after Valentine's. We've got St. Patrick's Day coming up, and Easter's still a ways off. I kind of like this time of year. I kind of go through my calendar each year and see whose birthdays or anniversaries are coming up for the year, and I take an afternoon or an evening that I have free, and I kind of make all my birthday cards, anniversary cards, and some maybe get well cards all up ahead of time, because you really know with your calendar and planning whose birthdays are coming up in the next few months. Instead of ordering one card at a time, I just go ahead and make a whole bunch of them up ahead of time. So think about that if you have an evening free sometime. Just pull all these great templates and go ahead and customize or drop in a photo and be prepared this year. We've got an adorable new Puppy Love Kit art collection. I just love this one. It's so fun for all you pet fans out there and dog lovers. Cynthia's put together some great projects. I know there's a mug as well, but there's this great Puppy Love scrap page, and also this adorable square flip book. This is fun. It's kind of about the life with your puppy, how you adopted them and where you got them from, and then it goes on throughout the story to show other pictures with the family. It's very simple, clean, but it's a fun way to kind of document those great pictures of, puppies. So great job there. We also have a new basic art collection. This one is called At the Doctor, and this one was designed by me. And I also did a few projects that kind of showcase how this kind of modern doctor set works. There is a scrap page here called Accident Prone. So if your child has ever made a trip to the ER room, this is a great way to document with a few pictures. I also did a couple of cute cards. You and me, we've got great chemistry. This is a great kind of Valentine's Day card, or just another kind of fun, nerdy science, card to send to someone if you have someone you love who's maybe in the science field, or just has that sense of humor. And there's also just this kind of a 5x5 square get well soon card that you might want to share with somebody. And these are new to the Temple Gallery. They just came out in the last week or two, I believe. And I love washi tape. I don't know if all of you are familiar with what washi tape is, but it's basically a Japanese style tape, just like a regular old Scotch tape. You just little strips of tape. They have a little bit of transparency to them and kind of the torn off edges. Well, we've got a nice selection now of little washi tapes. So I came up with this idea of kind of building this layered kind of birthday cake. So it's all just different little pieces of washi tape. So we had a lot of red and pinks. So I made a little pink themed birthday party invitation, as well as we had a nice blue selection of washi tape. And I just turned this one into a sweet 16 birthday party. But all these are great. They could easily be turned into other colors. I'm sure we have some purples, or you can always add some tints onto these washi tape pieces. So, once you do a party invitation, it's great to follow through with either regular birthday cards or thank you cards, or you could easily use the import page and once again put this on one of the large address labels, and it could be, a sticker that you would put on maybe a favor bag, or a little cellophane bag full of goodies, something like that. So there's a great way to extend these collections even further. There is also a brand new basic set. We've been really trying hard to vamp up our basic selections for all the people who are not quite interested in Premier yet, although, of course, we love Premier. It offers you a huge selection and variety of embellishments, but Cynthia's done a great job of really beefing up our artwork in the basic studio, as well as we've been working hard to add a lot more basic templates to our collection as well. So I know we have a lot of huge Mickey Mouse fans out there, so a lot of Disney fanatics, and it's great. So I came out with these fun birthday invitations. This is a little boy set, kind of a little Mickey Mouse theme. We have party invitations that feature a photo on our 5x7 product, or with our new wonderful die cuts, which I just love all of our new die cuts. They're just beautiful. This is like the square 5x5 with the little scalloped edges. This is just kind of a invitation without the photo. So it's just the front, and on the back is very similar to the back of the photo invitation here. So it's got the fun little stripes. Once again, a large address label that says, thank you so much for coming to my birthday party. See you real soon. Thank you cards, the little return address labels. I did a set of these notepads, which would also make great party favors, and 4 notepads come in each of those sets. So I've got 4 different colors in there. And then I don't know how many of you have seen these, but these little circles are actually, we call them toppers, or cupcake toppers. So you would actually punch them out or cut them out, and then you either adhere a toothpick or a lollipop, and you can stick it into the top of a cupcake. But there's lots of other things you can do with these too. They can be cupcake toppers. They could be like confetti on a table, or they could also be little gift tags as well on little treat bags, if you will. So a great new basic set. And of course, we couldn't forget the little girls. So I had to do a set in pink, so I thought this just turned out adorable. Kind of all the same products, but we've got the boy set and then the girl set here as well. And once again, these are basic and they're very easy to colorize. If you're not a pink person, that's just fine. Go ahead and choose your favorite shade of purple or peach. You just select. We'll go in later and I'll show you how to use your little eyedropper tool in the toolbox. And you can select any color that you want and completely customize the set to work with, what you have in mind for your party colors. All right, I think we're going to start here. We're going to start off with Cynthia, and she's going to share her favorite studio feature with us.
Wonderful. Well, those were some great templates, and I love that we have templates that coordinate with one another. So you have the invitation and the thank you card and favors and all kinds of fun things that go together. So whenever you're searching a template in the template gallery, look at the kind of right underneath the template, and you'll see that there are lots of selections. Or if there are coordinating templates, you'll see them below, and you can click on those and get those in your templates as well. So let's see, I guess I need to take back the control here.
I think we're going to show, I'm going to do your first slide.
Oh, go ahead. Why don't you do that? And
yep.
Okay. So I'm talking about grouping objects, and this is a feature that only became available, I don't know if it was about 2 years ago, but when it did, it totally changed my life. It's so awesome. I can't live without it now. And grouping objects just means that I don't always have to deal with a single object on my project at a time. If I want to, I can select multiple things on my page and do stuff with them as a group. I can resize them, I can copy, I can paste, I can move them, I can delete them. There's just all kinds of reasons I really like this incredible feature. So it's simple, and I would love to show you how. And this little template that's showing here is a St. Patrick's Day cupcake toppers I recently did. And to answer a question before I go on, the cupcake topper templates that we have, the circles are in different sizes. Some of them, like the ones on this St. Patrick's Day one, I made to be cut out by a 2-inch circle punch, but you'll see those that are bigger and those that are smaller. So what you'd want to do is look at those toppers in Studio, maybe use the grid, and then you can see for yourself how big those circles are. And then you would know, hey, maybe I already have that size circle punch, or I can just cut them out with scissors, or I can even resize them to be, you know, a punch that I have. But circle punches come in all kinds of sizes: 2-inch, 1 3/4, 1 1/2. I even have a 2 3/4 and a 3-inch circle punch over the years that I've collected. So anyway, all right. So do we have another slide, or are we ready to go over?
No, I think you're ready. Yep, to jump in the studio.
So hopefully. Okay, I do want to show my screen, but I want to show this screen. Okay, can you see that screen now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so I'm in Studio, and I got sidetracked with this new collection.
It's adorable.
I was going to do a St. Patrick's Day one, but yeah, this Puppy Love collection is so cute, and I was thinking of what's a collection that has a lot of circles in it, and this one happens to have, as you can see here along the bottom, all these cute little puppy dogs. So let's say, for argument's sake here, for learning's sake, that we wanted to make from scratch some cupcake toppers. What I did, and let me just move this out of the way I started was finding this collection, a collection that I liked, and pulling up. Of course, most of our quote-unquote papers, our background pieces, are already in nice square shape. And we have this handy tool down here in this little tool bar that's the shape of a circle. So when you start with a true square and you click this circle button, you end up with a true circle. So that's the way I like to create circles. And then over here in my layout tab, I can be very specific about how big I want this circle. And since I have a 2-inch circle punch, I want to make my circles like maybe 2.5 inches. So I just, over here in the height, I wrote in 2.5, and then when I hit enter, it maintains the proportion or the aspect ratio because this is locked. And so let me click off it and click it again. You'll see that it's 2.5. So this is a 2.5-inch circle. So when I cut it with my circle punch, I will be cutting off kind of a quarter or I don't know, maybe that's probably not the best. 2.5. Does that make sense? It does. It leaves a nice sort of edge so I don't have a white edge. Anyway, I start with this circle. I know that I want all my other circles to be the same size. And so what I'll do at this point is just select it again by clicking on it and click copy or do Command C or Control C and come up to the edit bar and go to paste special and then paste in place. And even though you don't see anything happen, it pasted that circle exactly where the copied one was. And I did that because now all I have to do is click on it and then use my arrow keys on my keyboard. And I'm using the arrow key to slide it to the side because then I know it's going to be perfectly aligned with my original circle that way. I'm just moving it to the side. Of course, someone's going to be talking to us about how to align things if they aren't already aligned, but that's how I like to do it. And at this point, this circle's selected, so I hold down my Shift key. This is how you select multiple objects. And I click on the one that's not selected. Whoops, that's always interesting. Okay, click on that, and by holding down the Shift key and clicking again, now you can see these are both surrounded by blue boxes. That means they are grouped. And at this point, I would again do copy and paste in place, and now there's another set. They've been copied as a group, and I'm going to shift them over with my Shift key or my arrow keys. I'm holding down the Shift key when I use my arrows on the keyboard, and that makes them move faster. See how I'm moving faster? If I don't hold down the Shift key, it's little tiny nudges, but that's basically it. So another way to select, so I say I wanted to select all four of these circles. I could again click on the first one, then hold down Shift key, click on the second, click on that, click on that. But another way I can do it is by putting my cursor off of my working space here, off of the page, and now I'm holding down my left mouse button and I'm pulling my mouse over all the objects, and now it's selected them all. So that's another way to select things. And at this point, especially with this type of project, I'd probably use the Shift key and just kind of center it better on the page because that makes me happy to do that. And then I'd continue building. So I could copy, paste, and I could make all 4 rows of those dots. Okay, so let's say that now I have this circle here and it's in a good place. I've locked it in place. At this point, I want to bring up, and this doesn't really have to do with grouping objects necessarily, but it's fun because we can look at the cute little dog. Okay, and so I'd probably just sort of eyeball this and center it in my circle, and Brooke's going to show you how you can center it exactly in that circle, but you can also just eyeball it. I'm happy to eyeball it too. And this is another thing where I could copy and paste and either do it like that or paste in place and shift it over with my arrow keys, whatever. But as you know, with things locked, I can swap out the little circle. So this can be this guy. And, you know, we can just go from there. I can swap out that background color to a different paper. Even stripes could look cute. So when I do cupcake toppers, I usually first build usually my cupcake toppers have a background circle and then something, at least one thing there in the middle. And so like I would maybe build this single one as a whole unit, copy, paste it, and make a whole page of identical circles, and then lock them all, and then I'd go through and individualize them, just like I did. Another thing you can do, especially if I'm not trying to create a specific size of circle, but because I'm going to just cut them out with scissors, after I've made this row, I can see that there's room for me to make them even a little bigger. So I selected them. Remember, I pulled my cursor over everything here. And now as a group, I can resize them. And so I'm dragging the corner arrow a little bit because I see that I can fit, they can be a little bigger on the page. And so that's me resizing as a group, so that's kind of fun. Anyway, I wanted to show you a completely separate type of project and reason that I like group copy or just group selecting things. So I, a lot of times, especially with scrapbook pages, I like doing the multiple layers of stuff, especially with a collection like this. This collection, let's see if I can kind of scroll down to it. It's called Julep, and we put it into Studio in January. It's a really pretty collection. It's got lots of kind of vintagey things, and then you've got the floral stuff. The alphabet is a gold foil, which is totally cool, and then it's got pretty papers. So anyway, all of the stuff on this page is from this collection. And as you can see over here on the left, I put a lot of stuff. I've got lots of layers of embellishments. And so there might be a reason for me, say I were making this into a 2-page spread and I wanted this same kind of, or the exact same stuff in the exact same size on the other page, maybe flipped horizontally. I could go ahead and select it all and copy it and then go to my next page and paste it on. But let's see what I can do here. If I like, for example, I especially like this grouping up here, I can start by selecting that doily. I don't know if you can tell that's there in the background. Maybe I'll scoot up just a bit more. There. Okay, so I selected the doily. Now I'm holding down my shift key. In this case, I don't want to do this because it's going to grab everything. I mean, it's touched. It's just that. So in this case, I do want to use the shift key method. So select it, hold the shift key down. Now I'm selecting this piece and this piece and this piece, and those blue rectangles kind of show up and indicate to me that it's been selected. And also, if I want to deselect something, like I accidentally selected this ribbon here, I would do the same thing. I'm still holding down the shift key. I just click on it again and it's deselected. So as a group here, I've got these great embellishments. I can click copy or Control C, and now I've got this group, which I forgot to do paste. That's part of it. So copy, paste. Now I've got a copy of that group, and I can move it over. And something that's fun that you can do, in addition to resizing, which you saw me do earlier with the group, as long as I don't have a text box in this group, which I don't have, I can open up my toolbox here over in this layout tab and use these flipping functions. So if I flip it horizontally, now it's going that way. So like, I'm not sure, you might want to do something like that. So now we've got sort of an interesting diagonal visual balance thing happening there. So you can do lots of things with a whole group. Another thing I could do is sometimes I'll do this, like I know I like this group, I grouped it together, copied it, pasted it, and then I just stuck it over here on the side for maybe my use later. And I stuck it over on the side because over here in this white space, it's easy for me to click and grab and only get that group. See what I mean? Whereas if I just stuck it over here, I'd have to select things one at a time using my shift key, because if I pulled it over, it'd grab the background paper and the picture and everything else. So that's one other thing I like to do. But I really find group useful in a lot of ways. I really like it for books, because once you get like your left-hand pages in a spread, you might want to repeat them over and over again. You could use the import page feature. You could also use the select all or group method, group copy. And so I guess that's really about all I have to show you.
Yeah, that's actually one of the things I really love about Studio is the flexibility, and nothing's ever in one location. There's always, we all have our little tricks and ways that we like to work. So there's always, you know, copies in multiple places, you know, the how do you duplicate pages is in multiple places. So you just find the trick or the place that you feel comfortable with and just do that. So it's just it's very flexible.
It's really true. There are usually at least 2, if not more, routes to doing something. It's so interesting. But before I let you go, let me give away points. So I can, Deborah, where are you? Deborah Avery. I've got your name for our second set of points to give away this evening. So Deborah, you've got 25 points coming your way, and thanks for joining us. And thanks for letting me play a little in studio tonight, and we'll hand it back over to Roxanne.
No, that was really great. I love the group objects, so absolutely one of our favorites. All right, so next we have Brooke. Oh, I forgot, we have a little picture here of our little cupcake toppers and how they would look.
There they are.
Adorable, yes. They're great. They're always a huge hit at any party, so definitely if you haven't tried them yet, give them a try. All right, we've got Brooke coming up with our kind of mysterious align and distribute. A lot of people have questions about this and how to use it, and Brooke is an absolute master at align and distribute. So she's going to take it from here and show you how to do that and kind of explain how it works. Brooke, are you there?
I'm here, and hopefully I won't fry anyone's brains with all of this, but this is one of my absolute favorite tools in Studio, and I use it all the time. And it's one of those things that's not exactly, I mean, unless you play around and use it, you don't necessarily know what all of these buttons do. But once you know what each button does, then they're very handy and you'll find yourself using it all the time. So it's kind of just something you have to play around with, but I'm going to show you the basics, and hopefully we'll still leave enough time for Roxanne to show her favorite at the end. I guess we'll see. But, all right, so what I mainly use Align and Distribute for, generally, if I'm going to make a grid out of anything, I'm one of those nitpicky person who likes my spacing to be even and my pictures to be lined up, and this really helps. I can line things up by the edges. I can make sure they're spaced evenly no matter what size each item is. So lining up photos, like it says, creating a complex grid system or even a simple grid system, it really helps to be able to line things up. People who like to add a mat to their photos, it's a big thing for those who do traditional scrapbooking, but a lot of people find themselves doing it with their digital projects as well. And so it makes it really easy to center your photo on that mat and make it look right. Same thing with centering objects to a page or even just aligning them on a side of a page or however you'd like to do it. And so I'll kind of show you how each of those are. Roxanne, if you can, actually, let's see. Let's go into Studio, and that way I can show you what each button does instead of just telling you. So if you want to, I don't know how we can give me control.
Okay, you should have something popping up on your screen at some point telling you.
Maybe. I don't see anything. Let me see if. Oh, there we go.
Yay, it just took a second.
Took it a second. It had to think. Okay.
Great, we can see you. Yep.
Can you see the question box, or is that in the way?
Oh, we're good. Well,
okay.
We're looking at the support center.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I wanted to show this first just because I'm not going to be able to cover everything, and so for those of you who are interested, a few months ago I made this series of articles here. The first main one is highlighted, and it's getting to know the Align and Distribute tools. And it goes in here and it talks about what each series of buttons does. And then it talks about just a little more in depth, and there are articles. So like this one, how to align text box to an item. And it'll show you a little video, just short little how-tos. And so those I found very helpful in just explaining. So there's the basics, and then you can go a little more in depth if you're wanting to. But this is just where you can find that information for yourself after this class. So I'm going to go into Studio, and I wanted to show you first. Last week I made this scrap page, and really it's just a basic grid. I started by making a square. I knew I wanted kind of a mat on the whole thing, so I made this larger square, but then I made a smaller one, if you can see, that's the same size as all of these other ones, and I used that as a map to align the rest of them to. So if I take this and, well, let's go with the basics first. Let's be smart here. Okay, so basically it's just a grid. You can see it's just lined up and just trying to be even. So to show you kind of what each of the buttons does, I'm going to just kind of try and explain and then try and show you. So first, the very first thing you need to know is here under to. So the first button is to group, and you can always hover over any of these and they'll tell you what they are. So you've got to group, to first item, and to page. So let me kind of give you a little bit of a demo. So if I use Cynthia's method of holding down Shift and selecting my 4 little misshapen boxes here, and then if I click to group and align middle, so if you can see the lines going right through the middle of all of these, what it's going to do is it's going to take the middle of this overall box here and it's going to align the items to the middle of that. And you see they all just kind of jump. Now I'm going to undo and show you what happens. Let me just click these again. Show you what happens if I click to first item. So I have to click these by holding down Shift, and then I go to first item, and then the same button again, align middle. Watch where they jump. They aligned themselves to the center of this first item that was selected instead of to the group. Now I'm using my Control Z to undo because it's just faster, but that's just me. If I go to page, so let's slide these off center so that you can really see. So if I go to page and then align middle, they're going to jump to the middle of the overall page. So those are that's the difference between these 3 buttons. You always need to know what you want to align to. And generally, for the most part, I use to first item and to page, just because to group, you have to anticipate where it's going to align, versus if you know, okay, I want everything to align to the top of this orange box or to the bottom of the orange box. If I know what I'm aligning to, then the rest is easy. So I'm going to put them back so they're all funny again. Okay, so once you know that, then you just need to know, and I'm going to do all of these to first item. So if you're doing to first item, you have to click them by holding down Shift. You can't drag, because if I drag, it doesn't know which one to select first. It just grabs them all at once. Whereas if I grab one and then grab the others, then I can do to first item, and it's going to do it to the blue box because that was the first one I selected. So then, if you're aligning, you can align to the left or the right or the center vertically, or the bottom row you can align to the top or to the bottom or to the center horizontally. So, for example, with this blue box, if I want to align everything to the, let's go the bottom, so I do to first item and then to bottom, and they jump. And then the same thing, so let's see, let's go back. To distribute, let's see how to show this. Okay. So if I want to distribute them, I go, it doesn't necessarily matter which one you go to, because either way it's just distributing the items. But if I say, for example, top, it's taking the top of each item and distributing them evenly. So if you see, the top of this one is the same distance to the top of this one, to the top of this one, and then this one next. They're not in a row, so it's harder to see. If I were to put them in an order to begin with, so you can see that this one's the shortest and this one's the tallest, and then I do align or distribute to top, and then you can see they're stepped. So distribute I don't use as often, but it's the same thing. You're telling it which side you want it to take into account, just like if I want it to align to the left. Instead, I'm telling it to distribute based on the left side of each item. So I'm not going to go too much into distribute, but there's more in the articles if you want to know. Now, space. So let's align by the middle so that they're all in a nice row. And then you see how there's uneven spaces. So if I were to do like Cynthia was showing and hold down my shift key and use my arrows, I could try and make them even. It'd be kind of hard. I mean, they're all over the place. But if I select them, and even though they're all different sizes, so if I do distribute by the middle, or by the center, I should say, it's going vertically, it's trying, but since the distance to the middle of each box is different because they're different sizes, it doesn't know how. What it's doing is going from the middle of each box, but that's not spacing them properly. The middle of each box is the same distance apart. I know this sounds really mathematic and technical, but it's not. So the middle is the same distance apart. If you want them spaced right, all you have to do is under here space, and you have to look where the boxes are versus what you're trying to do to know which direction, which button to use. So this one, since they're next to each other horizontally, I'm going to click the first one, and you can see spaced evenly. No matter what order they're in, I mean, I could move this red one over here and do this, and they're all off. And then if I click them, and I'm going to align them by the top, and then space. And they're even, whatever it is. And then whatever side you want them aligned by, or by the middle. So it's all, as soon as you know what each button does, there's a lot that you can do. I want to show you guys how to make a simple grid just using squares. So if you've got different sizes, it gets a little more technical, but not by much. So if I want to make a simple 3x3 grid, I'm going to take my one box, and I've got it set at 3.25 just because I wanted it large enough that I'd almost fill the page and that you guys would be able to see. So if I copy and then paste and then paste, so I could just click paste a few times and know that I want 9 boxes. I'm going to select all 3 and copy and paste, and paste again. So I've got my 9 boxes, and you can see that they are not aligned at all. Not even my rows across are straight. So if I know, so first what I like to do, just so I make sure my design is centered, so I've got my square here, and I'm going to take this gray square while it's selected. I'm going to click to page, and then align middle and align center. Now that gray square is centered in the middle of the page exactly. Okay? So if I take that gray square and I click it first, and then I click this top left square. So they're the only 2 that I've got selected. And then I click to first item, align top, and align left. Okay, so now this blue square is exactly with the top and the left of the gray square. I'm going to do the same thing to this bottom right square, except I'm going to do bottom and right. And then notice each time I'm deselecting, and then I'm only selecting this gray square and then the square that I want to move. So it's not moving the gray square at all, it's moving the other square that I'm clicking second. And then I go to first item, I'm going to go right and top. And then last one, I'm going to go to first item, bottom, and left. Now, this gray square is in the center of the page. That's all I really needed it for, because now that these corner squares are in the right spots, I can move the rest to be aligned perfectly. So I can get rid of that gray square. this middle square, I can tell it to go to page, align middle, and align center, and it's in the middle of the page. And then if I take this first square and I click the 2 in its row, and I do to first item, align middle, and then space. Now they're spaced out and they're all aligned perfectly. And then I'm going to do the same thing, but the other direction. So from that same corner square, I'm just fixing this middle square to get it lined up. So I selected all 3, starting with the one that I know is in the right spot. To first item, align center, and then this second space button because I'm spacing vertically. And now it's aligned. Now with this one, since I know that this square is in the right spot, I can use it to make sure that the center is in the right spot and to fix this right square that's out of place. To first item, align middle, and I can't space it because it's not aligned with this row yet. So if I align this row like I did the first one, this column, to first item, align center, and now that I've done it both horizontally and vertically, I know that this square is in the right spot. So the only one that hasn't been fixed yet is this square right here. And you can move it wherever you want. As long as it's in generally the right spot, it can be from wherever. And then I'm just going to grab here, the bottom corner, and click these 2 in the same row. And I know that these 2 corner pieces were in the right spot because I used the big gray box. So I'm just fixing this last square. To first item, align middle, and then space. And just like that, you create a grid. Now, you can still select this. You can drag and select like that, or you can hold down Shift and select them each. It's faster with multiple items when you don't have other things on the page to drag to select, but whatever works for you. And you can obviously scare it into doing things. So if I select those, I can change the size, I can make it larger or smaller. Obviously, it's not in the center of the page exactly anymore, but you could fix it. So if I decide that these spaces are too large and I don't want them to be that spaced out, if I just select this top row, hold down Shift, and arrow down once or twice or however many times you want, they're still spaced evenly, but obviously this direction is not. So say I want them up a bit. To make sure, say I didn't move this bottom row up the same, so the spaces are different. All you have to do, to first item, and respace them, and it'll fix this center box, and then you can use the center box to realign with the rest in its row. And then you can do the same thing the other direction. So it does take practice, but with this you can do a lot. And so say I'm going to show this one because it's easier. Say I'm designing and then one of these boxes gets out of place. All I have to do, I know that it aligns with the left side of this box. So I have to unlock this box because it's locked. And then I go into Layout. I'm going to select the second box that I want to move. To first item, align left. And then I can space it by selecting these two that I want to create spaces between. Same thing, I'm going to do to first item and then space vertically. And it's right back into place. And that's really helpful to be able to create grids. So say, let me make one of these a little off-shapen. So say I've aligned it, but it's not quite fitting. You can unlock the proportions and drag it down. And this is where you may have to eyeball a little bit if you're making an odd grid. But see how I can use this dark gray box to make sure the gray box, the light gray box, is in place. And then I can just kind of eyeball to make sure this one is about the same size. Sometimes to zoom in so that you can see, okay, yeah, these two look about the same. Or, you know, I could make this one a little smaller or larger, however. So it's entirely up to you, but these are great tools to be able to make sure your grids are perfect or as close as they can be if that's how you like them. So if you're like me and like them to be as near perfect as possible, these tools are very, very helpful. And I wanted to show one quick thing. Which page should I put on? Since Cynthia was talking about these cute little cake toppers, I wanted to show how you would center something perfectly. So even something like this, that he's not quite a perfect circle, he's got his funny little ears sticking out, but if you think about it, these ones aren't making the circle any wider, maybe a tiny bit on this right side, but not anything too noticeable. So I can still use the same tools to center it in this circle. I'll zoom in a little bit so you guys can see. So if I click the circle and then shift and click the dog, to first item, align middle, align center, and he's about as perfect as can be. I wanted to show, I almost forgot, if you were to mat a photo, so let's grab a photo because I know I've got some. Oh, perfect, there we go. Not planned at all. So if I've got my photo here, I'm going to get rid of these boxes, get them out of the way. So I've got my photo, and I want it on a page. This is me and my husband being very attractive. And then my favorite way to make a mat, honestly, I copy the photo and then paste it. I pull it a little bit larger, and then I go down here to the layering, and I send it to the back. If you've got multiple things on the page that you don't want to send it behind your backgrounds or your embellishments, you can just click send backwards, and it'll just send it right behind that photo that you just copied. So obviously I want it big enough to be a mat, but anyway, so I'm going to click the mat. Let's go swap it out for a paper. Notice I've got the back photo selected, not the front. Wouldn't much help if we swapped out the photo we want on our page. So I'm going to swap it out. Then if I unlock it and go to our layout tab, I'm going to hold down shift and select the photo, and then to first item, align middle, align center. Now if you look, when you make a box larger, it's going to keep the same proportions. So since it's longer than it is tall, it got a little too wide without being the same distance from the top and bottom. So we can really easily, let's zoom in a little bit, we can really easily just unlock the proportions and adjust it a little bit. If you want to be technical, you can adjust the height and width to make it, say, 1/4 of an inch all the way around. You just have to measure it out. But if we've got it the right size, all we do, select it first, or select the photo first if you've got the photo in the right spot. Just remember, select first the thing that you don't want to move, hold down shift and select the thing you want to move, and then just tell it align middle, align center, and you're done. And then whether you want to put a drop shadow on it or however, but that's a really easy way to mat a photo in Studio, which I know comes in handy a lot. Anyway,
Yeah,
that's...
all that was great, Brooke. I actually learned a few things myself, so I know that's a lot of information for everybody, but it just takes practice. Once you get it down, it will speed up your making grids and matting photos. It's very helpful for everybody to practice and learn how to do that.
Oh, one more thing.
So,
I forgot
sorry,
one.
Brooke, no more excuses for any of these templates that people submit. Now everyone has to have even spaces between squares.
Yes, I am very meticulous about checking my templates.
You,
Ask
yes.
Roxanne. I've had her fix a couple before.
Yep.
Yes, you have.
One more thing that I wanted to mention that I almost forgot. So I'm going to show you with this yellow square. So if we're going to page and you've got these top, bottom, left, and right buttons, if you click bottom, or say bottom and right, it's going to snap it to the inside of the bleed area. So this gray line, it's not going outside that gray area. So if you align something to the edges of the page, so say this middle over here, it's not going outside the gray area. So if you were to print it like that, there's a very good chance that you would have a white edge. So it's always helpful. So if I'm putting a photo over here on the edge, I unlock the proportions and I make sure that the box goes outside the bleed area. And then I'll swap in my photo and make sure it fits right. But that way, what I see is good, but at the same time, in case that variance that we all know can happen, the photo is safe. I'm not going to have white edges. So anyway, that's
Perfect.
all
Yeah,
I had.
great tip.
Well, awesome. Okay, let's see if we can get you back, Roxanne.
Yep, got me back. All right, everybody seeing my page now?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay. Well, we're going to do this fast, but import page is my favorite studio feature. Most of my designs end up being collections of designs. The design is built on multiple projects. So the only way I can do this quickly and efficiently is with the import page feature. It's wonderful. So I'm going to show you how quick and easy this can be. Okay, the reasons you want to use import page is it allows you to bring in an already designed page from one project into another. For instance, like if that birthday party set, the Mickey Mouse set, I started with one party invitation design, and then I used the import page to add it to multiple products, such as the thank you card and the address labels. So I just keep using import page over and over again, and then just slightly resize and adjust as needed. It's also great for turning your scrap pages into storybook. If you love doing scrap pages and you do them one at a time, sometimes at the end of the year, you'd like to compile them all into the storybook. So it's a great way to take one scrap page at a time and import them into a storybook. You can also go the opposite direction. You can find a page or a spread in a storybook that you love that maybe is in the template gallery, but you don't want the whole book, but you would like a scrap page of that. You can go ahead and take that page from a storybook and import the page onto a single scrap page. Also, a lot of times in the template gallery, we give you multiple options for different size storybooks with the same design, but sometimes we don't have time to do every size. Like sometimes we don't do 5x5s, or some sizes are more popular than others. So if we don't have a size that you're looking for, but you found a template that you love, go ahead and use the import page feature, and it will quickly convert whatever project or storybook into the size that you need. And it's a great way to take any, existing template that you find that you love that maybe you'd want to turn into a mug or brag bag or phone case without having to completely redesign it yourself. Go ahead and grab it from an existing template, import page onto a wonderful photo gift. So let's go ahead. I'm going to show you where to find it. Import page is down here in your Content Explorer, down at the bottom here under your tabs. You'll see you go either to My Unfinished Projects or My Completed Projects, depending on where you are. And once you click on your project, you'll see this import page here. So basically, it'll take everything from this project and import it or paste it onto your new project. So let's go ahead and go into Studio and see how quickly and easily this can be done. All right, so I had this family yearbook here that I had designed at the end of last year. It's a lay flat storybook, and I love how the cover turned out. So let's take a little quick view here. So I'm going to go ahead and let's say I want to make a brag bag out of this design. So the best way to do that is if you find a project that's horizontal, try to take it to another project that maybe has a horizontal format. It's more difficult to go from a horizontal layout to a vertical layout. You're obviously going to have to do a little more fiddling that way. So if you can stay in the square to horizontal format with this one, it would be better. So brag bags are a perfect conversion for this horizontal layout. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a new project. I'm going to grab a blank project here. Our brag bags are photo gifts. So I am selecting that. And let's see, I'm going to do the big brag bag. So let's do blessings. Continue. All right, so I'm going to show you how quickly and easily this is. It's just one of the best features ever. So I know we have a lot of great features in Studio. I prefer to actually work in Studio than I do Photoshop or Illustrator. To me, it's just a simple way that you can do a lot of tricks very easily, like drop shadows and colorize. It's just a wonderful thing. So let's go ahead here. So I'm going to go to My Projects. And that project of the Counting Our Blessings storybook was in My Unfinished Project. So I'm going to go down here, and here it is. I can see a nice visual graphic of it here. I'm going to select it, and I see all the different pages in that. I could select any page I wanted to import onto a new project. But I'm going to go ahead and click on the front cover here. So when I click on the front cover, it'll show me every piece that is used in that project. You have the option of pulling up one piece at a time if you want to, if you just want to use one piece from that collection. Or if you say import page here, it's telling you that it's going to replace everything on your page that's existing already. So don't start a design and then think you're going to add on top of your existing design. It really erases everything and will import this exact design onto the surface. So let's see what we have. So that storybook was a little bit smaller than my brag bag. So all we're going to do here is that little trick that Cynthia showed you. You're going to click on the outside and drag. So we've got everything selected now. And then I'm going to do, with my tool box, I'm going to unlock. Let's slide this over a little bit here. I'm going to pull this up to the corner. I'm going to make sure that all my papers and everything go beyond kind of this gray area here. And then I'm going to drag the corner and just pull and stretch. So I'm just stretching. Yep, and then I'm just going to kind of center it here. And as you notice, if I click on this background, it doesn't quite go to the edges here. So I'm going to go ahead and get it positioned here. And I'm going to drag the corner a little bit, just like that. Let's see, let's go ahead and I'm going to delete that, delete that. Actually, let me put that back. Delete that one. And if you could do your family name here if you wanted. We'll just double click, type, no more family. And just like that, I've got a brag bag all set up and ready to go. So I just save it and I can hit ready to publish and be good. It's very simple. It works the same way too. If you went to a phone case, you could choose a horizontal phone case. The storybook will import larger, and then you just grab the corner and you're going to scale it down smaller. So if you haven't tried import page yet, it's something that you must do. It's wonderful to do birthday cards or any celebration activity invitation and then do a coordinating thank you card with it, or take maybe one of our 11 by 14 prints and scale it up to a canvas if you like. It's a great way. It's just so easy. It's just, I love it. It makes life so simple. So absolutely my favorite studio feature. All right, we're running short.
It's a good one. It's a good one. It's probably the queen of all studio tools, import page.
Yeah, everybody wonders how I work so quickly, and honestly, between the align and distribute and the group, copy and paste and import page, they are huge time savers. That's how I can get so many templates made in a short amount of time. Yep.
So yeah, I don't know I can't remember if you show on your next slide, but could you open either the website or your studio page really quick? we've mentioned the support center, and I wanted you to just show how you can click need help.
Yes, this
You'll
button over
usually
here.
see, yeah, it'll be there in Studio. Sometimes you just have to hover your mouse over there and you'll see it.
Here's
That's
the project.
one of the easiest
there,
ways to get to that Studio Center. You click on that, and then up in that search, you could type import page, you could type group, you could type align, and then you're going to find these great articles. And our busy worker, wonderful helper here named Chelsea has done a really good job editing down a lot of these Studio U classes. Now they're in the support center, and she's edited them down by kind of technique and tool. So you can go to and find these classes, a specific technique to learn about, and you don't have to watch the entire class to find it. She's broken it down so that when you click on the link, you go straight to that import page or to whatever.
Yeah, that's great.
So yeah, we're doing more and more to be able to give you those tools you need at home to remind you, oh, how do I do that, or to guide you step by step. So do take advantage of that support center.
Wonderful. Yep. Great. So that's the end of that class. I hope you guys all learned something, and we'll try a new technique when you get a minute. Our next Studio U class is on Thursday, March 19th, so you can go ahead and mark your calendar. And this one is called The Story Begins, and we are going to focus on weddings, babies, and a little bit of graduation too. So it's when a new story would begin. So I hope you'll join us then, and thank you to Cynthia and Brooke for joining me tonight. I had a great class.
You bet. Thank you for getting this class together for us, Roxanne and Brooke. That was a really great presentation. I think we all learned a ton.